The storm hit like a god trying to erase the mountain. Snow tore sideways across the ridge. Wind screamed through the pine line. The shutters of Ashton Hale's hut rattled hard enough to split. He didn't look up from the rifle he was cleaning. He'd survived 3 winters here alone. The mountain killed the careless. Then came the knock. Not polite, not hesitant. 3 sharp strikes. Wood shuddered. Ashton's hand froze mid-motion. Nobody climbed this high in a storm. He moved without hurry, rifle in one hand, lantern in the other. He unbarred the door just enough to see 4 figures. Tall, broad-shouldered, wrapped in dark furs slick with ice, and eyes. Not human. The leader stepped forward, a woman. Pale skin dusted with frost crystals, white hair braided tight against her skull. A spear rested in her grip like it belonged there. Her gaze swept over him. Measured, predatory. "We require shelter," she said. Her voice was low, controlled, not a request. Ashton studied them the way he studied avalanche paths. Wind at their backs. No visible injuries. Weapons clean. Formation tight. "Hunters, you tracked something up here?" he asked. A flicker passed through her eyes. He'd hit something. Another of the women shifted behind her. Whispered, too soft for normal ears, but not too soft for his. "I saw him first," the whisper said. "Mine." The leader didn't turn. Didn't acknowledge it. "Good discipline." Ashton stepped aside slowly. "Storm will bury you in 10 minutes," he said. Weapons by the door. No exceptions. A pause. A silent conversation passed between them. Then one by one they complied. Not submissive. Strategic. The last to enter brushed past him. Her shoulder was warm. Too warm. She looked at him from the corner of her eye. Not fear. Interest. The door slammed shut behind them as the wind howled louder. Inside the hut, heat from the iron stove wrapped around them. Steam rose from melting frost on fur. Ashton shut the bolt. 4 huntresses, armed, disciplined, and one of them had just claimed him like prey. He kept his rifle within reach, because storms didn't scare him, but predators seeking shelter, that was different. And none of them were here by accident. The hut felt smaller with them inside. The leader removed her outer furs with precise movements. Underneath, layered leather armor, reinforced with bone plates curved along her shoulders and ribs. Functional, not decorative. Ashton noted the stitching style. Not local. "You live alone," she said. Not a question. Safer that way. A faint smirk touched her mouth. "For you?" "For everyone." The one who had whispered earlier moved closer to the stove. She stretched her hands toward the heat. The air shifted. Ashton felt it this time. A wave, subtle but real. Temperature rising near her skin. Interesting. "You're not human," he said calmly. Silence fell. The leader stepped closer. "And you are very observant." Her eyes glowed faintly amber in the lantern light. "Name," she demanded. "Ashton. I am Kyla of the Ember Vale." Of course she had a name that meant fire. "And the others?" "They answer to me." Hierarchy confirmed. Ashton poured hot water into metal cups. Handed them out evenly. No favoritism. Kyla watched that. She noticed everything. Outside, thunder rolled through the mountains. Inside, tension coiled tight. "You are far from your veil," Ashton said. Her jaw tightened a fraction. "There are rumors," she replied carefully, "of something hunting our kind." "Ah, so they weren't apex here." "Something like me?" he asked. Her gaze sharpened. "Perhaps." The woman by the stove, the one who claimed him, turned. Her pupils narrowed. "You do not smell like fear," she said softly. Ashton met her eyes without blinking. "Should I?" Her lips curved. Kyla stepped between them. Territorial. Interesting. The temperature in the room rose another degree. 4 predators in his hut, but only one of them was calculating the exits. And it wasn't them. Outside, something large moved through the storm. Not wind. Heavy. Deliberate. The huntresses felt it too. Their hands went to weapons instinctively. Kyla's eyes locked onto Ashton. "You said it is safer alone." A distant, bone-deep howl split the night. The windows shook. Ashton picked up his rifle. "Usually," he said quietly. The howl came again. Closer. Not wolf. Too deep, too layered. The huntresses moved with terrifying coordination. Spears lifted. Blades drawn. Positions taken with outspoken command. Trained. Kyla didn't look afraid. She looked furious. It followed us, she muttered. So that was it. Not coincidence. Pursuit. The thing outside circled the hut. Snow crunched under massive weight. Ashton moved to the back wall. Pulled aside a hanging tarp. Revealed a second rifle. A flare gun. A crate of metal canisters. Kyla's eyes flicked over the setup. You expected war, she said. I live on a mountain, he replied. Same thing. The creature slammed into the outer wall. Wood cracked. One of the huntresses snarled low in her throat. The temperature spiked violently. Steam hissed from melting frost on the windows. Ashton calculated fast. Wood walls, fire-based species, unknown predator, blizzard conditions. Too many variables. Can you burn it? He asked Kyla. Her jaw flexed. It feeds on heat. Of course it did. The creature roared. The roof beams groaned under impact. Ashton made a decision. Not emotional. Strategic. We draw it out, he said. Cold side of the ridge. There's a narrow pass. Force's single approach. Kyla studied him. Measuring. Trust versus risk. You would fight for us? One of her warriors asked. No, Ashton replied calmly. I'm fighting for my house. That earned the faintest hint of approval in Kyla's eyes. Another impact split a support beam. They had seconds. Kyla stepped closer to him. Close enough that heat rolled off her skin like a living thing. If you betray us, she said quietly, I will not hesitate. Ashton chambered around. If I wanted you dead, I wouldn't have let you inside. For the first time, she smiled. Not warmly. Predator to predator. The wall exploded inward in a spray of splintered wood, and something massive forced its way through the storm. Eyes like frozen coals, skin layered in crystalline armor. It wasn't hunting them. It was hunting her. And Ashton just chose a side. The wrong side. Might end the mountain. The creature forced itself halfway through the shattered wall, too large for the doorway. Crystalline plates ground against timber. Splinters rained down. Up close, it was worse. Its body wasn't fur. It was layered ice, translucent, veined with something dark pulsing underneath. It exhaled. The room temperature plummeted. Frost exploded across the floorboards. Kyla hissed. Steam rolled off her skin as she pushed heat outward, fighting the cold wave. The thing's head turned toward her instantly. Locked, not the others. Her. Ashton fired. The rifle cracked like lightning in the enclosed space. The round hit the creature's shoulder. Ice shattered outward. And reformed. Regeneration. Great. Eyes, Ashton barked. One of the huntresses lunged, spear blazing orange at the tip. She struck the creature's face. Steam erupted violently where heat met frozen armor. The monster shrieked. Not pain. Recognition. It backhanded her across the room. She hit the stove. Metal buckled. Fire scattered. Now it was feeding. The air dropped further. Ashton moved fast. He grabbed one of the metal canisters, yanked the pin, and rolled it beneath the creature's chest. Kyla's eyes widened. What? Flash detonation. Not fire. Concussive force. The blast shattered the weakened ice plates along its underside. Fragments rained down. Now it bled. Black fluid hissed against the wood. The creature recoiled, dragging itself backward through the broken wall. It didn't retreat in panic. It withdrew in calculation. Outside, its massive shape vanished into swirling snow. Silence fell. Heavy breathing. The injured huntress struggled to stand. Burned but alive. Kyla stared at Ashton. You knew to break the shell first. I knew it adapts, he replied. And it wants you. Her jaw tightened. Yes, that wasn't new information to her. It wasn't random. It was hunting Embervale, and Ashton had just wounded it, which meant one thing. It'll be back, he said. Kyla didn't argue. Outside, the storm swallowed the blood in seconds. But something else lingered in the air. A signal. A mark. The creature hadn't come alone. And now, it knew exactly where to return. They didn't stay to rebuild. They moved. Fast. The injured huntress leaned on another but refused to be carried. Pride species. Ashton led them through a hidden rear exit buried beneath stacked wood. Snow swallowed their tracks almost immediately. Good. The ridge narrowed ahead. The pass. One entry point. Steep drops on both sides. Wind howled like a blade along stone. Perfect kill funnel. You prepared this, Kyla said as they reached the choke point. I prepare everything. He set 2 remaining canisters into carved grooves along the rock face. Wired to manual triggers. No electronics. Too cold. You fight like a strategist, she observed. I survive like one. Behind them, the forest line trembled. Shadows moved in the storm. Plural. Kyla saw it too. Her expression darkened. It has called others. Of course it had. Why send one hunter when you can send a pack? How many? Ashton asked. Her silence answered. The first shape emerged from the snow curtain. Then another. Then a third. Larger than bears. Taller than moose. All plated in shifting ice armor. Their eyes glowed like frozen suns. The injured huntress stepped forward despite her burns. No, Kyla ordered. But the warrior shook her head. They marked me first. So that's how. Scent or heat signature. She ignited.
Fully.
Flames burst along her arms and shoulders, melting snow in a violent radius. The creatures roared. And charged. Ashton! Kyla shouted. He waited. Waited. Closer. Closer. Now. He yanked the first trigger. The explosion collapsed half the pass wall inward. 2 creatures vanished under rock and ice. The third leapt through the debris. Straight at Kyla. She met it head-on. Fire versus frost. The impact cracked the ground beneath them. Ashton moved to flank, but something hit him from the side. A fourth. Hidden, he hit the snow hard. Breath gone. The creature loomed over him, jaws opening. Heat flared across the battlefield. Kyla screamed something in her language, and the injured huntress ran toward Ashton. Not away. Toward. The creature lowered its jaws, and she tackled it. Both of them went over the cliff. The scream cut off mid-fall. Silence swallowed it. Ashton stared over the edge. Too deep to see bottom. Kyla stood frozen, one of her own. Gone. And the remaining creature was still standing. Bleeding. Angrier. Now this wasn't survival. It was war. The last frost beast rose from the rubble. Wounded, but not dying. Its armor reformed slower now. Cracks visible. Good. Ashton grabbed a flare gun and fired point-blank into its chest. The flare embedded. Burned white-hot. The creature convulsed. Kyla seized the opening. She didn't scream this time. She didn't rage. She focused. Every ounce of heat around her compressed inward, then detonated forward in a concentrated lance. Not wild flame. Precision. It pierced through the fractured ice armor and into the dark core beneath. The creature staggered. Ashton tackled Kyla sideways as the beast exploded. Ice shards rained across the pass like shrapnel. When the smoke cleared, nothing remained but melting fragments. Wind filled the silence. 4 had entered the mountain. 3 remained. Kyla didn't move. Didn't speak. Ashton stood slowly. She chose that, he said quietly. Kyla's voice was flat. She chose correctly, but her hands trembled. Just slightly. The storm began to weaken. Dawn threatened the horizon with pale light. This should have been victory. It wasn't. Ashton scanned the ridge. Something bothered him. The creatures had been coordinated. Too coordinated. He knelt where black blood stained the snow. Touched it. Still warm. Still active. Not dissolving. Not natural. He looked toward the distant forest line. Tracks. Not beast tracks. Boot prints. Human. Watching. Kyla followed his gaze. You see it too. Yes. This wasn't wildlife. It was directed. Engineered. Hunted. And someone had just lost 4 very expensive weapons. Which meant they would escalate. Kyla turned to Ashton. You are no longer outside this. I figured. Behind them, smoke from his shattered hut rose into the brightening sky. His isolation was gone. His anonymity too. The mountain had changed, and whatever was pulling frost beasts from the dark now knew his face. Next time, it wouldn't send animals. The storm doesn't end. It tightens. Rain lashes the hut so hard the walls groan. The fire flickers low, shadows slicing across the huntresses. Armor, steel, bone, claws polished from use. And then, I saw him first. The whisper isn't playful anymore. It's territorial. Every eye in the hut shifts to the one who spoke. Tall, scar across her jaw. Fingers resting casually on the hilt of a blade that has tasted blood. Mine, she repeats. The word drops heavy. You don't move. You don't look afraid. You just feed another piece of wood into the fire like you didn't hear it. That's what unsettles them. Most prey trembles when claimed. You don't. Another huntress laughs softly. You speak as if he is a stag. He breathes, the first replies. That is enough.
You finally look up.
Slow, measured. You're welcome to the roof, you say calmly. But nobody owns what stands on his own feet. Silence. Not because they agree, because they didn't expect resistance without fear. The youngest huntress tilts her head, studying you. You challenge her. No, you answer. I set a boundary. The storm cracks like a splitting world. And outside, something answers it. A howl, deep, layered, not one voice. Many. The huntresses freeze. Predators recognizing something higher in the chain. The scarred one's grip tightens. That is not from our forests. You stand, finally, and for the first time, they understand something critical. You're not trapped in here with them. They're trapped in here with whatever just arrived. And you. The howl comes again, closer. The youngest huntress whispers, What have you done, human? You meet her eyes. Nothing, you say. But your hand moves to the old rifle mounted above the hearth. And that changes everything. The door handle starts to turn. The door doesn't burst open. It tests. A slow twist, like whatever stands out there understands hinges. The huntresses spread out instinctively. No panic, just lethal readiness. You lift the rifle down. Old wood, clean barrel, maintained. Not decorative. Open it, the scarred huntress orders. You don't. Instead, you step toward the door. One hand on the latch. Stay behind me. She almost laughs at that. Almost. The howl comes again, right outside now. Heavy breath through wood, scraping claws across the frame. You pull the door open. Rain explodes inward. Lightning reveals it. Towering. Not wolf, not bear. Something layered in bone plating and scar tissue. Eyes too intelligent, too focused. And behind it, more shapes. Watching. Waiting. The largest creature lowers its head slightly. Not submission. Assessment. Its gaze locks on you, not the huntresses. You. The scarred huntress whispers. It marks prey before it charges. Not always, you murmur. The creature steps forward and stops, because you step forward too, into the rain. Rifle lowered. Not aiming. The huntresses think you've lost your mind, until the creature huffs once. Short. Almost familiar. Your voice is calm when you speak. You took 3 goats last winter. Lightning flashes. The beast's ears twitch. And I let you. The huntresses stare at you like you just spoke the language of storms. You cross that line tonight, you continue quietly. And I don't let you. The creature studies you. Rain runs down your face. No fear, just certainty. The tension stretches so tight it could snap bone. Then, the beast steps back. Once. Twice. The others follow. Not fleeing. Yielding ground. The doorframe creaks as the wind howls again. You close it slowly. Turn back. Inside the hut, the huntresses are no longer looking at you like prey. Or even competition. They're looking at you like a problem they didn't calculate for. The youngest speaks first. You command monsters. You shake your head. No. You set the rifle back above the hearth. I respect territory. The scarred huntress steps closer now. Not claiming. Studying. Storms bend around apex predators, she says softly. And tonight, her golden eyes meet yours. You did not bend. The fire pops between you, and no one says the word mine again. But the tension? It shifts from possession to possibility. The storm weakens near dawn. The hut feels smaller now, not because of space, because of awareness. They know what you are. Not strongest, not fastest, but anchored. The huntresses prepare to leave. Armor tightened, blades checked. The youngest lingers near the doorway. You could come with us, she says quietly. It isn't flirtation. It's recruitment. The scarred one watches your reaction carefully. You glance at the forest, then at your hut, your land, your boundaries. You move, you reply. I guard. That is a smaller life, she challenges. Is it, you ask? The storm has stripped branches from trees, but your hut stands. Your fire still burns. The world doesn't only need hunters. It needs lines. The scarred huntress steps forward one last time. No one has ever refused us. You meet her gaze without hostility. I didn't refuse you. A beat. I refuse to abandon what's mine. Silence settles between you. Not offended. Not angry. Understanding. She nods once. Slow. Apex does not mean roaming, she admits. It means deciding. The youngest smiles faintly. Then we will pass this way again. It isn't a threat. It's a promise. You step aside so they can exit first. Not dominance. Not submission. Respect. They disappear into the thinning rain. The forest feels different now. Aware. Aligned. You close the door. Sit by the fire. Alone again, but not untouched. Outside, somewhere deep in the trees, a distant howl rises. Not challenge. Not hunger. Recognition. And for the first time, it isn't the huntresses who whisper the word. It's the forest. His. Night falls fast. The forest smells different now. Damp earth, wet pine, and the metallic tang of rain on steel. You hear it first. Movement in the underbrush. Not the huntresses. Not the beasts. Something else. Something lighter, smaller, yet deliberate. A figure steps into the moonlight. The alien girl. She alone. No armor, no weapons. Only the weight of purpose in her eyes. She stops a few paces from the hut. Looks at you. You understand more than I expected, she says quietly. You tilt your head. I understand boundaries. A subtle nod. And choices. Lightning flashes. You see the faint glow along her skin. Warrior markings. Alive. Pulsing with energy. Not threatening, observational, calculating. I've been sent to test you, she continues. To see if your kind can adapt. Your fire flickers. You add another log. Adapt to what? She steps closer. To what comes next. The tides aren't just shifting here. They're moving across stars. Her gaze sharpens. You made a choice tonight. And choices matter. They echo. You study her. Calm. Measured. Then tell me what echoes you need me to hear. Her lips twitch, a ghost of a smile. Survival is not about strength alone. It's about perception, timing, recognition. She pauses, scanning the forest. And allies. Another flash of lightning reveals shapes in the distance. Not beasts. Not human. Something new. Watching, waiting, judging. She looks back at you. They'll come. Will you meet them as predator or as prey? Her hand hovers briefly near her side. Not a weapon, a signal. And then, before you can respond, she vanishes into the shadows. Silent, swift, untraceable. The forest exhales. And you know the game has only begun. Dawn rises weakly through broken clouds. The forest is quiet, too quiet. You find marks in the mud, strange prints. Not animal, not human, patterned, precise, leading toward the ridge. You follow. Rifle in hand, senses sharpened. Every snap of twig, rustle of leaves, pulse of the wind is a warning. At the ridge, the alien girl waits. Still alone, watching. Patient. This is where it begins, she says. The boundary test isn't over. Others have seen you. The balance you struck, it speaks. You glance at the valley below. Mist clings to trees, hiding shapes. And if I fail? Her voice is soft, firm. You don't, not yet. But the wrong move, one hesitation, and everything shifts. A rumble underfoot. Low resonant, coming from the depths of the valley. Multiple sources. Not distant. Close enough to feel in your chest. They're coming, she whispers. They watch, but they wait for the signal. That's where you earn your choice. Her eyes meet yours. A challenge almost intimate in its weight. Will you step forward or stay behind the door? You inhale sharply, ground beneath you solid. Fire in your chest, calm in your mind. I step, you say. Her nod is faint, almost imperceptible, but it carries approval. The valley shakes with anticipation. And from the mist, shapes begin to rise. Figures tall and impossibly fast. Their forms flickering between shadows and substance. The forest holds its breath. The first figure emerges fully. Alien, humanoid, and terrifying in its poise. Its head tilts, assessing you like a predator would its prey, but with intelligence, curiosity, and caution. The alien girl steps between you and the figure. Not shielding, guiding. They will not strike first, but they will test, observe. Another rises. Then another, dozens. All around the ridge, silent, watching, waiting. You lift the rifle, not to shoot but to show you are present, grounded, a sentinel. The largest among them steps forward. Limbs long, sinews rippling, eyes glowing with cold calculation. Human, it says. Voice deep, layered, not threatening, analytical. You have drawn attention. You swallow, calm, steady. I guard what is mine, and I respect what is yours. The alien girl watches closely. Remember, survival is not about annihilation. It's about negotiation, perception, timing. The largest alien studies you, moves closer, steps careful, precise. We observe, we learn, and we choose. You keep your stance, not submissive, not aggressive, just anchored. A moment stretches. So long it seems the forest itself freezes. Then lightning strikes in the distance. The alien girl whispers almost to herself, "It begins," and all around shapes shift, eyes glinting, muscles coiled, judgment passed. The choice you make in this moment will echo farther than this ridge, farther than this forest, farther than any of the worlds you know. The storm is over, but the war, silent, unspoken, inevitable, has just begun. The ridge waits, the watchers wait, and you hold your ground.